Well, does Jacob Zuma have the right to refuse being examined by doctors appointed by the National Prosecuting Authority? The former president's next court date is the 9th of September, where his fitness to stand trial will be argued. Despite the court ordering a second opinion on Zuma's health and his advocate, Dali Mpofu, previously agreeing to this, Zuma now refuses to do so. So could this mean more contempt of court charges? Or does he have the right to refuse a second opinion? Well, advocate Sinawo Makangela joins us now to weigh in on the latest in this saga. Sinawo, it seems never ending. Does Jacob Zuma have the right to refuse a second medical examination?
Morning, Anika, and morning to the viewers at home. In fact, here there is a court order, Anika, so it is not available to anyone to choose to comply or not to comply with the court order. If there's a court order, it has to be complied with. Simple as that. If you don't comply with the court order, and then those who are affected by your non-compliance, when they are pursuing the contempt proceedings, you will be having an opportunity to give reasons why you could not comply with the court order. It could be that it was incapable of being executed, or whatever explanation that will be accepted in court. But at least we now know that there is a court order which says, should the NPA wishes to submit him for the examination by their doctors, they will have to do so. Then he refused it. Obviously, the court will have to look at that and see why if it issues an order, where there's an agreement between all the parties, and then there's non-compliance now on the 11th hour.
See, now, when Dali Mpofu, acting for Jacob Zuma, agreed in principle to an independent or state profit medical examination, I wondered whether he could have actually done that because he hadn't consulted with his client.
Well, what he does, he acts on the instructions of the attorneys. So attorneys would give him instructions, and then he conveys that which has been given to him by the attorneys. Obviously, he could not have agreed to anything that is outside his mandate, outside his instructions from the attorneys. So the attorneys might have had an opportunity to consult with their client. Okay. So that's why now the court on the 9th of September will have to see what has changed now that there was an agreement to this order. All of a sudden now there's a turn of events, and then he's refusing to submit himself for that examination.
Is there a chance that Jacob Zuma could now face further contempt charges?
Of course, if there's a court order, you do not comply, prima facie, that is on the face of it, that conduct is contemptuous. Now, what the court does, it conducts what is called an inquiry as to that conduct, which is the failure to comply with this order. If you give an acceptable explanation, then the court will consider the position. As I said, it could be that the court issued an order which is incapable of being executed. But whatever explanation that must be given, it must be satisfactory to the court. As we now know that the NPA will insist that he must submit to the examination of its own doctors. Remember, again, this is one of those rare situations. It rarely happens this, because his health care is well taken care of by the state institutions, which is the military, of which in some instances, an individual would be bringing a medical certificate from his own doctor. If the NPA would be having a problem, they would say, okay, we'll bring our own doctor as the state. So you are dealing now with two state institutions. The NPA, as they've indicated in their statement, the NPA says, hey, we need to bring our own doctors. We can see what the military is saying on their side, so that we can be able to make up our minds and say, well, really, indeed, you are not ready to stand trial.
What actually happens then? Because the Jacob Zuma Foundation is saying that if the NPA asks for its own medical examination, it's distrusting another organ of state because the SANDF is looking after Jacob Zuma. So who does the judge then believe in terms of Jacob Zuma's fitness to stand trial? Well,
as I say, this is one of those rare situations where a medical opinion would be, in particular in criminal proceedings, because this is a normal practice in civil proceedings, where the plaintiff would bring his own examinations, opinions, and then the other side would say, we want you to submit yourself to our own doctors, so that we roll out all the possibilities of being influenced. Because in any event, a same medical professional in the same position, having faced with the same situation of the very same patient, definitely will arrive at the same conclusion. But just to have two opinions, as I say, it rarely happens in the criminal proceedings. Now, the judge will be faced with a situation where he must make up his mind and consider what made him to refuse to submit himself to the assessment of these doctors. What is it? What is an issue? Does he have a problem to submit himself to those doctors, or what is it actually? Otherwise, there is a court order. Hence, I'm saying there's an inquiry now that must be conducted. He has not complied with the court order. And on the face of it, that's contempt. Now, the court will want to get into details what led to that so that it can be able again to consider whatever information given to it and then make an appropriate order in the circumstances.
All right, thank you. We'll have to wait and see what happens on the 9th of September. Advocate Sinawo Makangela on Jacob Zuma's refusal, possibly to be re-examined by one of the NPA's appointed medical